This last series is going to try to catch you up from what took place with the United Baptist Convention into American Baptist churches today. And in this section, we want to talk primarily about how did we become the people we are today. I'm thankful for the opportunity to at least share big blocks of our history with us. There's several books. One of the most important books to read is Henry Burridge for Early History. You can also find Dr. Cook's book, and also Ellis Holt's or Sam Holt's book. Those are three books at least that are unique to American Baptist, and those books will help trend through the years for you. As we talk about this fourth segment, I'm in hopes of a fifth segment that will take place probably long after we're gone. But we believe that God has called American Baptist to such a time as this, and we believe that our mission isn't finished. We do believe that God has given to us unique gifts that He's even now being called upon for us to share with the world and with the kingdom that His Son founded. American Baptist churches, as a United Baptist Convention, began to be caught within the American Baptist war years. During those American Baptist war years, new mission endeavors began to develop. When the boys came home, they had found something uniquely different. One of the things that they found was that when they went away to war, it was the women, normally who were in the households, who went into the factories, Rivet or Rosie, and began to work in the workplace. There were a lot of folks who believed that women weren't going to be able to hold a candle to what men could do in a factory. And what they discovered was the women actually outproduced. When the war years ended and men came back to the jobs, those women with skills in production, skills in assessment, skills in strategizing, skills in volunteer labor, skills in working with management, came back into the churches. And as the churches began to move into the suburbs, talented and gifted women often organized the church from the cradle roll to the grave. A lot of times the men were in positions of leadership, and they would say such things as, "When I go home, I'll talk to my wife." And it was the women who organized the church and the volunteer labors that gave rise to one of the most blessed times in American history in terms of church growth and development. American Baptist churches were always small churches, but after the war years, as men came home and families were once again reunited, birth rates went up. And because of the organizing skills of women, and because of their desire to see Christ glorified in their hometowns, churches grew. It was at that point in time that there became a call nationally to say, as a country, the West isn't much different from the East, the North isn't much different from the South. Isn't there a way of being able to bring our collective strength together in a denomination? 1970 saw the rise of what was known as squads and scores within the American Baptist life. They were studies on denominational unity. How are we going to organize ourselves as a denomination? We knew that there were conservative Baptist churches. We knew that there were Southern Baptist churches. But what was our identity going to be? How were we going to set ourselves apart from other Baptist churches as a denomination? How are we going to fund institutes of higher learning? How are we going to work in mission? How are we going to support community centers and community ministries and chaplains? All of those things became concerns that gave rise out of the society model to a more unified understanding of how to raise mission dollars and what missions would qualify for support. In essence, churches would be taught how to give through the United Mission Giving Program. United Mission was a way by which the church would give of their mission dollars. We talk about it as undesignated mission. That monies would be sent to the denomination, a large part of it staying within the region to help local churches with their ministry, believing that strong local churches gave rise to strong mission churches, which gave rise to a growing mission endeavor both in the United States and outside of the United States. By helping churches with their mission dollars, every church was considered valuable and important to the mission. Whether you were a church of 35 or a church of 3,000, each of us contributed to United Mission as a way of saying, we are in this mission together. We can do more together than we can do apart. Denominationally, determinations were made which churches or which institutions would be affiliated with the American Baptist churches, which institutions of higher learning would allow American Baptists to have polity classes, would allow American Baptist teachers and educators to be a part of their curriculum and faculty, and therefore qualify for institutional support. Which missionaries and which mission organizations would we partner with that shared the same value and outlook in terms of mission? As American Baptists, we always believed that we were there to serve with. We weren't running the show, God was running the show. We came there to work with indigenous peoples so that the needs and concerns that they raised would be what our churches would be in partnership with. How do we care for missionaries that came from Maine but were found in other parts of the world? Japan, Africa, Asia, the South America, the Latin Americas, the Caribbean, throughout the whole world. How do you make sure that missionaries sent from our churches would be cared for and make sure that they're supervised so that there's a sense of integrity and accountability, that mission dollars just aren't going to somebody, but they're going to a person, they're going to a missionary who is cared for and who's authorized to be there by our mission board. So many times our churches give monies to free will missionaries, not free will American Baptist missionaries, but missionaries who are serving as faith missionaries. A lot of times, if the churches aren't actively engaged with that missionary, time goes by and you don't know if that missionary is retired. You don't know what mission endeavors there's taking place. You don't know how successful the missionary is. You don't know whether or not that mission is closed or continues. It takes a lot of work on the behalf of a local church to make sure that the dollars being sent are being sent and they're accomplishing what they were sent for. As American Baptists, we determined a board of international ministries would steward that concern on our behalf, and a board of home missions would steward it on our behalf in the country. One of the major pieces was chaplaincy. During the wars, every army of the United States had a chaplain that would be authorized to be there to provide spiritual comfort and direction during a time of war and also during a time of peace. One of the things our American Baptist Home Mission Societies does is validate chaplains to make sure that they're meeting the credentials and understand the dynamics of serving within a variety of different contexts in a variety of different military branches. It's because of our work together that we began to determine that as American Baptists, we needed to be unified even further. Today, American Baptists work under the heading of American Baptist Churches USA. Again, I serve as the American Baptist Executive Minister. American Baptist Churches of Maine. We're one of 33 regions that comprise the American Baptist Churches of Maine. My responsibility when I meet is to bring to the American Baptist Churches USA a particular flavor, and that is the flavor of American Baptist Churches of Maine. I often remember the saying that says, as Maine goes, so goes the country. It is my hope that as American Baptist Churches of Maine go, so go the American Baptist Churches USA. American Baptist churches bring unique gifts. We're a small church region. We're a region that's highly relational. We're a region that takes biblical truth quite seriously. We're fervent in preaching. We're fervent in our faith. We are missionary-minded people who believe that God is calling us to do more than we can do ourselves. We are an association of churches that is meant to do God's work in this world and among like-minded Baptists called the American Baptist Churches. Those 33 regions comprise the ABC USA, and we continue to struggle with who are we, what is God calling us to do, and what does it mean to be American Baptist in this day and age. I invite you to join in the struggle, because it's a struggle that doesn't take place at the top. It's a struggle that takes place in the local churches, among every member of a local church. Pastor and people struggle together to be faithful with God's resources, to be faithful with God's word, and to be faithful in sharing the good news of Jesus Christ at home and abroad. God bless you through the series, and may God continue to use American Baptist Churches of Maine.